Every living being has a value of their own in God's eyes. Because that person who comes to you comes with that hope. Come with that identity that they were created in the image and likeness of God, just like you and I. And they come with desperation, but also with hope. Because we are the church. Right? We are the church of that gospel of joy. We are the church that says love is wonderful, that we love everybody. And when we, as a church, in our human imperfection, on that 5 minutes left on a Friday afternoon, we're trying to get out because we have our commitments with our family. We have to recognize that that person is also an example of God's infinite wisdom and goodness. And it's hard for us, right? Because we're human. But it's also not just the person that comes to us for help, but the ministry leaders, right? Who come up with a whole bunch of ideas, and you're like, how are we going to do this? We have 10 ministries trying to use the same space. Start with our co-workers. Sometimes we're paired up, and we're not the best pair, right? Our personalities may not be matched up perfectly, but we still have to make sure that we're respecting God's creation. Sometimes when we have a new pastor, right? We love our pastors, we love our clergy, and they come with their own set of ideas. And so we have to adapt, right? And the way that we adapt is saying, okay, what is God's goodness being reflected by this person right now? So it's taking a step back and saying, they were created just like I was. I'm going to step back out of myself and see how do I treat them with respect that God's creation deserves. What did God tell us to do with creation? To till and keep. What does it mean to till? Anybody?
Break it up.
Break it up. What else does it mean?
Stir up the dirt.
Stir up the dirt. Why do you need to stir up the dirt?
So you can plant.
So you can plant, that's right. All right. What does it mean, right? Why does the dirt need to be broken up to plant? It needs to be open, receptive. Right? A lot of times our hearts become hardened, and we need to till our hearts. Same thing, we need to till our community, till our parish community. What has hardened in our community that's not allowing us to cultivate these relationships? And what does it mean to keep? What does it mean to keep God's creation? Take care of. Take care of it. Protect it. All levels of creation. Right? And so we know, right? Tilling, cultivating, plowing, working, keeping, caring, protecting, overseeing, preserving. And so to till and keep means that we do so in order that the world and its fruits are good for everyone. What are the fruits of your ministry? What are the fruits of your work at the parish? What do you see as your fruits?
Conversion.
Conversion. What else happens through your work?
Community building.
I'm sorry?
Community building.
Community building. Yes.
Forming other leaders to
Forming other leaders. Why is building community important to till and keep?
It takes a community for a garden, or it takes a community to keep it and help it grow.
Yeah. What did God make first? I mean, not first, but we have a Garden of Eden. Why? Why did we have a garden? Because it's plentiful, it's bountiful. It was everything we needed to live. It's a sense of conversion. If we're showing that we're constantly tilling and keeping ourselves, our co-workers, our parish, our community, then that's hope, right? Because we know that there's a cycle to things. We know that things cannot stay stagnant. That is our command, to till and to keep, right? So we have to cultivate, we have to care and protect. And when we speak of the environment, what do you think of when we talk about the environment? Trees, air, water, mountains, the birds. But what else is the environment? The environment is, yes?
I was gonna say the very stresses on that garden are what's gonna strengthen and deepen the roots.
I love that. Stresses of the environment. Because stress could be good and bad, right? When we have a good environment between us and every other living creature, what we're trying to establish is harmony, right? So when there's harmony in the environment, then it's something that is good, right? It's going to give good fruit if there's harmony. Sometimes we think of nature as something aside from ourselves. So part of our Laudato Si work, we promote understanding biodiversity, to promote this understanding that we're all interconnected. And so when we talk about biodiversity, we look at what is it that we're doing to disrespect God's creation. Right? When we say, what's so hard to save a bird? It's just a bird. There's millions of it, right? There's so many species of birds. Why do we need this particular bird? Because God wrote that bird. So who are we to say that we could just disregard that species of bird? And if we easily disregard one of those pieces of creation, we're on a slippery slope to disregard ourselves. To disregard our brothers and sisters, right? How many times do we drive in our cities and there is someone on the corner who is asking for help? Does it feel shameful? Do we offer help? What do we do? Deacon Danny Patterson likes to share the story that when he goes out to his ministry, he goes out to serve those living on the street, the unhoused, he asked the gentleman, what's the hardest thing about living on the streets? And what do you think that gentleman said? What's the hardest part of living on the street? People don't see you. You would think that something hygienic, right? Something from protection from the elements, the cold, the heat. I mean, we're in Northern California, we get the extremes on both. But it wasn't that. It wasn't food, it was feeling invisible. Right? And what happens when we tell somebody or make them feel invisible? We're not seeing the goodness, right, of God in them. We're not seeing that they were actually, they were a choice, right? Going back to that. God decided that person existed. And so why do we talk about the environment? It's not just about going for walks or going for hikes. The environment is also where you work, right? The environment around us influences how we feel, how we think, how we act. When you guys walk into your office, is it pristine? Or are there boxes lined up everywhere? There's files that nobody has touched in years and nobody wants to touch, right? There's a brother's typewriter from who knows when. We probably have floppy disk and hard disk somewhere. But that's part of our environment, right? Do we come into the office with a smile saying good morning? How was your day? How was your family? Or do we go, oh, here we go again? We all have those days. We're not perfect. I have them. Do we actually go outside of our office? Do we go outside, beyond our cubicle, beyond our desk? Or do we sit and are stagnant in our chair? And we don't go out to meet people? That's our environment, right? And that is the environment that we create by our own actions and decisions. So when you're feeling really stressed, right, when your shoulders are creeping up, when your neck's feeling really tense, when you're getting a headache, when your jaw's so tight, take a 5-minute breather. Figure out what is going on in my environment that's making me feel this way. And it could be, do I feel pressured to do something by a certain deadline? Is it something that I need to ask somebody for help because I'm putting all this pressure on myself? Is it because I can't work in this space? Is it something personal? Is it something going on at home that's also affecting me at work? All right? And kind of go beyond yourself, right? If I'm feeling this way, who else in this office is feeling this way? Sorry. Who else in my community is feeling this way? How many times have we gone to church and people don't even look us in the eye? All right? They come in, they just go to their bed, to the pew, because that's their pew that they go every single Sunday. And nobody better bother them, because that's their pew. All right? I mean, we see those people, and sometimes it's us. We don't even say good morning, hello to the person sitting next to us. That's the environment that we're creating, right? So when our environment is disorderly, it's chaotic, it's saturated, there's a lot of noise, it's overstimulation, it makes it really difficult for us to truly live out our faith. Because we're so distracted, right? We're so distracted with what is it that I want to do today? What's important to me today? Instead of going back to every creature is a ray of God's goodness. And so in the Canticle of St. Francis, he praises God, right, for his creatures. He says, "Praised be you, my Lord, through those who give pardon for your love." See, everything is connected. And so concern for the environment needs to be joined with our sincere love for our fellow human beings and an unwavering commitment to resolving the problems of society. You have to have a deep sense of communion with the rest of nature. And it cannot be real if our hearts lack tenderness, compassion, and concern for our fellow human beings. Pope Francis in Laudato Si says, "It is clearly inconsistent to combat trafficking in endangered species while remaining completely indifferent to human trafficking, unconcerned about the poor, or undertaking to destroy another human being deemed unwanted." So as pilgrims of hope, our journey, what does this require? That we recognize that interconnectedness, to know that our deepest desire most of the time is to be seen, is to belong, is for somebody to know our name. Right? When you're coming out of Mass, how excited are we when the pastor knows our name? Why? Why is that so important? Because he knows us, he sees us, right? And by that very small interaction, we feel loved. And so in your work, it's the same experience, right? If it's the same person coming into your office, as frustrating as it can be, right? Because you're asking the same question, but you know their name, and they know your name. So I would invite you, right? Kind of check that stressor. Check what's frustrating you. Check what's stopping you from seeing that person as truly your brother or sister. All things, let's see, we're created his command. We did that one. Oh, I think we're going backwards here. This one got fancy. Creation, humanity, and nature suffers. What happened? What did sin rupture? What was the consequence of sin? Broken relationships. With who? God. Who else? What was that?
Each other and
Each other.
and ourselves.
Who's the third category? Creation. We broke relationship with God, humanity, or with each other, and creation. That is the rupture of sin. And so just as much as we suffer because of sin, right, and we suffer a lot, depending on what's going on in our lives, so has creation, right? Anybody here from the North State? Paradise? Yeah. What's been going on in the North State the last couple of years in the diocese? Fires. Yeah. Fire is devastating. Our brothers and sisters in Los Angeles are experiencing a lot of wildfires right now, and in San Diego as well. That's nature's decay, right? There's a disruption in the cycle right now of nature. We're starting to adapt to it, whether it be because we have a drought, right? California has had over 200 days of drought sometimes, which does not help creation, Right? Our heat, we've had the hottest day ever in 2024. And it seems like every year we have the hottest day ever. The global temperature in 2024 went up by 1.6 degrees Celsius. Worldwide organizations, their goal is that we do not exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius in the next 20 years. So we've had already 1 year that has far exceeded that global temperature. And Pope Francis, in his encyclical Laudato Si, invites us to say, what is our role in that suffering? He's not saying that we prioritize creation over human life. What he's saying is, where have we forgotten and abandoned our call to till and keep? Because to keep is to care and protect and preserve. So where are we in this entire drama of suffering in creation? So creation and humanity suffer this decay, right? This corruption of sin, but we also share in the hope of liberation from sin, right? Because we're pilgrims of hope, us and creation. Sin had disrupted the harmony that God intended for his creation. And this leads to suffering and degradation. The harmony between the Creator, humanity, and creation as a whole was disrupted by our presuming to take the place of God and refusing to acknowledge our creaturely limitations. Right? Sometimes it feels like we do it on our own, right? Because if we don't do it, no one else is going to do it. And when we talk about parish life, we talk about the management of the parish, the ministries of the parish, right? Maybe we're not seeing creation in general, but again, every human being is part of creation. And so when we're saying, well, I got to do this on my own because nobody else is going to help me, what we're denying ourselves is the opportunity to create harmony with ourselves, with each other, to repair that ruptured relationship, right? Because we're assuming that that person or other people around us don't have the ability or the skills to actually help us. All right, and so we take it all on our own. We put that pressure on ourselves. But this is saying we're growing together. All right, we all have the same end goal. So why are we doing it that way? Why are we discarding some folks and prioritizing others? Why do we think that we're so special that we can do this better than God? Let's see. So let's see, what else is going on in the world? What's going on with our water? Anybody from Reading? From Yolo County? Right? Rio Vista? Whole Delta? All the rivers? What's going on with the water? I was at a meeting a couple months ago, and some folks from Reading were telling me that, well, people can't afford to bring in water because the natural groundwater wells do not have any water. So what do? You have to buy water. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine having to go home today and put in your order for a truck of water? That's the reality we're living within this diocese. Right? How much does it cost to bring in water? I have no idea. Thousands. Right? And so, something else that's happening. What's going on to pollution? Anybody in South Sacramento by the executive airport? Laura. Thanks, Laura. So Sacramento has an executive airport, and what we find is that those who are living downwind from the executive airport, children, seniors, families, are testing really high in levels of lead in their blood. What does that mean? It means they're getting sick, right? But what are we doing about it when that problem comes to our parish? What happens when these families come to us and say, I don't have money for water. I don't know what to do, right? My children have lead poisoning. I can't even work, right, because I'm sick. So those are the things that, as we look at what's going on in creation, why are we groaning, right? Those are the things that are happening in creation. What's happening with humanity, right? Does everybody have access to nutritious food? No. Potable water? No. Dignified and accessible health care? No. Right? Do we have the right to work? To build a plentiful life? Does everybody have that ability right now? No. So what Pope Francis is telling us is we have to recognize that we're all interconnected, that we were all created by God, and that we're all suffering. And each other's suffering, right? Humanity is part of that creation suffering. So how are we, as Pilgrims of Hope, going to participate? How are we going to respond? So as Pilgrims of Hope, we groan because we share the suffering of the most vulnerable, both of nature and of humanity. And on this path, we seek harmony with all creatures, and that's how we heal the suffering or the rupture of sin. Death will no longer exist, and creation will be renewed. This is our hope. Right? As much as we're suffering, as much as there's decay and corruption, this is our hope. He will wipe away every tear from our eyes. Death shall be no more. Creation will be renewed. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes for a little bit. Imagine your most challenging, tender moments in your life. One that you would not wish on anybody else. You remember the desperation, the feeling isolated or lost. And those tears, right, they free flow. They flow to the point where we're barely catching our breath because we're so much in our suffering. Now imagine God's hand wiping away those tears. How are you feeling? How does your heart feel? How is that moment transformed now? God himself has wiped away your tears. And I invite you to hold this moment. Go ahead and open your eyes. How are you feeling? Yeah. And that's just a tipping point. That's just within our own imagination that we can feel what that's going to be like. But that is our hope. That is God's promise to us. He will wipe away our tears. At the end, we'll find ourselves face to face with the infinite beauty of God. But in the meantime, because we're not there yet, we have to come together and really take up our responsibility to take care of our home that He has entrusted to us, knowing that all good which exists here will be taken up into the heavenly feasts. St. Basil the Great said, "If the world has a beginning, and if it has been created, we must inquire who gave it this beginning, and who was this creator." Because when we do that, we go back to that moment. Who created me? Who created the person next to me? Who created the person who's suffering when they come to our office? And we have to imagine that they have the same experience you just had. But in their most darkest moment, where they feel despair and they don't feel loved, that God comes and wipes away their tears.
God is preparing a new dwelling and a new earth in which righteousness dwells, in which happiness will fill and surpass all the desires of peace arising in the hearts of men. It's going to surpass all of our imagination of peace and happiness. Can you think about that? What would make you happy right now? What is that vision of happiness and peace? Imagine first with your families, all right? Your loved ones, hopefully, your friends, your co-workers, your parish community, the community at large, and everyone around the world. As much as we feel that sometimes we're very isolated, we're disconnected, this reminds us, right? Whatever we think is our idea of happiness and peace, God's going to surpass that, no matter where we are. And so now on this journey, right? We're journeying, this hope towards the Sabbath of eternity, this new Jerusalem, this new common home in heaven. Jesus says, I make all things new. Only in him, right? Only in him. I make all things new. In Laudato Si', Pope Francis reminds us that eternal life will be a shared experience of awe, in which each creature, resplendently transfigured, will take its rightful place and have something to give those poor men and women who will have been liberated once and for all. All right. So what does this new dwelling look like for you? First, let's think about your workplace. What does a new workplace look like for you? Shout it out. If you had a wish list, what would you get?
Very organized.
Very organized. No dirt, no dust, bunnies, everything in its rightful place. No clutter. What else? What was that?
Enough help.
Enough help, yes. I heard something over here. What do you guys want? Is your our workplace is perfect?
Communication.
Communication, I love that one. I wish for a heater, I got one. What else would be perfect? What else would you need in your workplace for you to feel like, oh, this is a new dwelling now?
A lot of space.
A lot of space. Yeah. What about a garden? For you to go and relax. Oh, wait a minute, you're right next to the church, huh? Yes.
We would like more windows.
Windows. Windows, beautiful. Yes.
A set lunchtime.
A set lunchtime, how respectful. Well, you know, Catholic social teaching, dignity of work. What else would you like? This is your dream wish list. Don't worry, we're not going to report it. What else would you need? What about, I don't know, new software? I like new software. I like spreadsheets. What about peaceful music? More greenery, more plants? More time to actually practice your faith while at work? A time to step away for a little bit. Maybe a continuity of your work. All right. This is our opportunity as we await for God, as He's preparing our new dwelling and our new earth. What are we doing now? All right. Knowing that we have been made for this time, that God has made each and every one of us, that He has given us this beautiful gift of creation. What are we going to do to till and keep? What are we going to do to celebrate and praise His creation? We can start in our own workplace. What about your parish ministries? Wish list on how to deal with ministry leaders or support ministry leaders? Yeah. One of the challenges I face is how do we respond to all the needs? How many parishes are in the diocese?
102.
That ain't Kevin.
Yeah.
102. Plus 2 missions or whatever mission. That's a lot, right? And everyone has special needs because you are a special community, right? There's no way the St. Vincent Ferrer in Vallejo is going to have the same issues or needs or wants as St. Thomas Apostle Oracle, right? So the way that our office is able to respond is to say, we are here to be of service. And a lot of it, that's your job too, right? To be of service. One of the things I teach my, it's only a team of one now or two, but anytime I go into ministry is when you're in a position of service, it will never be good enough. Right? It wasn't quick enough. It wasn't thorough enough. I didn't get the service that you promised I was going to get. They didn't help me. They didn't pay my rent. Whatever it could be. Whatever it is. It's never good enough. But once in a while, you will have people that will say, you changed my life. And so knowing that in that spirit of service is going to be challenging, well, guess what? You have each other. You have each other. As 102 parishes across the diocese, right? You have each other. You have some of the similar challenges and call each other. Right? And say, hey, what are you doing to revamp or to create a new dwelling in your parish? I'm having this challenge. What are you doing? Or I just need you to listen. Right? That's how we start creating this new dwelling, this new earth right here while we wait for the new Jerusalem that God's preparing for us. So as pilgrims of hope, we must listen to the groans of creation. And remember, groans are happy, they can be sad, they can be angry. It's okay to groan, as long as you're doing it with hope. Right? We have to work to till and keep our environment, whether that's in our home, in our parish, right? Either in our office, within ministry, in our community. What are those opportunities, right? We're eagerly awaiting. Right? We talk about this lifestyle. We're always on the go, go. Right? I have 2 young children, and it's who's going where, what grandparents have, what time we're going to eat, who has an activity, what do we have to be at school. It's always go. Same thing at a parish, right? It seems like some days you don't even have 5 minutes to yourself, that you can't even take at lunchtime, right? Consistently. So you're on the go constantly. So instead of feeding into that frenzy, say, what are we really waiting for? We're waiting for God, right? For God's redemption. And so that takes away the pressure. Doesn't have to be right now. Right? Take away that pressure from yourself and say, there's a new dwelling. That's what we're waiting for. That is my ultimate hope as pilgrims of hope, right? We're going to heaven, hopefully. God willing, we go to heaven. And so we start to look at our ministry, our vocation, what we're doing in life very differently. Because again, right, we're interconnected. We are all suffering, but we're all hopeful. Because we have this promise of this new dwelling and this new earth. Any questions? Yes?
How do we bring this conversation up to the parish level? Because this isn't something that I hear in our parish, my parish. Some of the discussion is being had, at the parish water fountain, so to speak. How does how do we bring this message back to the parish so that it becomes a conversation at the parish?
I guess it depends on who you want to have that conversation with. Is it with a pastor?
Well, I would like to just have the whole parish together and have some presentation, something like this, so that everyone can be brought along together. Because as much as this is an individual thing, it's also a social thing.
Yes.
And so as much as going on, I remember back many years ago, I heard, well, God's going to give us a new heaven and a new earth, so why
how we implemented or designed the Jubilee year is we created 3 reflection guides, the one that you received today. And they're designed to be done every quarter of the year. And we're encouraging ministry leaders, parishes to think about how do we have these kind of town hall meetings, right, where we read, we reflect. It's very synodal in a certain point, right? Small groups, listening to each other. What are the concerns? What are the hopes that are coming out of the parish? Right? And the pastor and the deacons, ministry leaders are very critical in continuing that conversation. Right? Because the other problem is that we have a conversation and then nothing comes from it. So who is going to be in charge of continuing that conversation? That's what I would encourage. I imagine Deacon Kevin's team, myself, we're all available to have these continued conversations at your parish as well. Yes.
I'm just going to say that at our parish, St. Francis of Assisi in Midtown, the adult faith formation group is just kind of getting back on its feet after several things, and that might be a really good topic for that kind of meeting.
Absolutely. St. Francis is very, very vibrant in their social justice.
Yeah.
Any other question? All right, so you do have some reflection questions. First one. I'll give you guys about 10 minutes to kind of write down, to discuss with your neighbor. How would you describe the environment that exists in your parish and in your ministries? Some examples: is it inviting, collaborative, harmonious, isolating, stressful? Any other qualifiers? How would you describe the environment that exists in your parish and in your ministries? Love it. What else? Intergenerational. Very beneficial. Very beneficial. One more word. Encouraging.
I say excited for
Excited for you. Woodland?
yes.
All right. I would describe the environment on the first floor of the pastoral center collaborative. We're very, very collaborative. We have offices with the family and faith formation, offices with young adults, Black Catholic ministry, migrant ministry, Respect Life, marriage. We have Catholic schools. We also have vocations, and we also have Catholic Training Social Concern, and welcome Deacon Danny Patterson. Hello, he's our Respect Life. Deacon Danny, are you going to the Walk for Life tomorrow?
I am. I hope all you are.
There you go. Let's do a plug, right, for the Walk for Life, absolutely. All right, so second question. How does this environment influence the way that you and others feel when you attend Mass, see the sacraments, or participate in ministry? Right. And discuss. You all did it all at once, huh? Of course you did. Your parish staff. You're efficient, right? All right, well, let's share on number 2. What did you guys come up with? Is it easy for folks to see sacraments like baptism, enrolling in catechism, enrolling in confirmation? Yeah? That's good. That's how it should be. It should be easy. All right?
I think as a representative of the parish, it's hard to attend.
I want to start to attend that. Why is that?
Because we're not respectful of the lives, we are respectful of what we're actually in that. So I think we have to act for it.
So there's no division between your role as working for the parish and the person.
As a representative of the parish, it is very hard to sometimes attend Mass because these parishioners are not respected Oh, yeah, oh, you go to the first. I see that coming so once I started looking for the diocese, I had the exact same issue. Have you guys seen the annual Catholic appeal video? Yeah. The annual Catholic appeal video? The ACA video with our annual bishop's appeal, right? We do a nice little video. I've been in that video twice. And now that my daughter's in our Catholic school, they're in Vacaville, I get the, is that you? Yes. What do you do? Why have this question? You know? Oh yeah. I have just one question. And then the whole life unfolds. That's what we're there for. Who else? How else does that environment influence, the community, the life of a parish?
Well, if you come from a collaborative environment, then it's going to be a very nice way of. You come from a collaborative environment where you and your associates work well together and the pastor is supportive, then all those things about worship are going to be very comfortable. And I do see that to a great extent. Very, very pleasant environment.
And what do you guys do to create that collaborative, pleasant environment? Is there a magic recipe to it? How do you do that?
It's not magic. It's not magic, but it is focus. We are, Kelly and I both represent the same church. We're very friendly people. We like to welcome people in. We like to seek people out for our ministry. We're not the only ones who do that.
And what do you do?
I know what it doesn't look like, and I know what it can look like. And the reason I say that is a couple of years ago, I was just at Mass, normal Mass in the morning on a Sunday, and there was a couple sitting behind me, a young couple with young children. And I turned around and I said, "Oh, what beautiful children you have." And I was talking about how cute the little girl's outfit was and all of that. And I didn't find out until later that that couple had come from Southern California, and it was their first Mass at our parish. They had just moved to Chico. And she said, when you turned around, we were holding our breaths and we were waiting for the crash, because at the parish that we went to in Southern California, we sat in the back, our kids were little, and after Mass, a woman turned around and said, "We pray here." And we can't do that with children being, and I did not know that, and so I said, "Oh my gosh," after Mass, I said, "How old is your daughter? Has she signed up for Catechesis of the Good Shepherd? Okay, here's who you have to call, here's your phone number." And that woman is a coordinator for a mom's group of families with little kids called Holy Spirit Co-op. And she has, because they felt welcome at the church. Now, I'm not patting myself on the back because I could turn around and say, but I didn't. And, my heart was open that day, but the kids were so cute, right? And the difference between, only because she told me, and I just went around, along my way, but it was like a couple of months later, and she said, "I want to tell you the difference you made because you welcomed us." And I went, "I did," but it made a huge difference for them. And so that right there, and then I got hooked up with everybody that they needed to get hooked up with. So that's that collaborative, the thing that the guy was talking about in the first one. You connect people with whatever they need. So.
What's your position in the parish?
I am Christian Initiation for Families Director. So what I do is OCIA for unbaptized children of catechetical age and their parents. So the whole family comes, and it's getting them, bringing them back into the parents generally have been catechized but not evangelized as children and young people. And so it's getting them to their first confessions in 25 years, convalidations, if they're missing sacraments, married in the church, whatever that takes. So it's to create an environment for families to become disciples, families of disciples. That's it.
All right, so we have about 7 more minutes. Is there anybody that wanted to share, was like eager to share? We have 2. We'll take 2.
I'll try to make it short. And it's about a little related to what you were saying. It happened to me before, and having faith formation right before Mass, let's say we end at 11:45, we have Mass at 12. So there's very short time to attend families if they have questions. And usually I used to go to Mass late, and I felt so guilty. And I was talking to Father, I don't know what to do. And he said, well, you have to model that they have to be on time at Mass. And he said, you set your boundaries and set a time, and that way you also teach them the importance of being on time at Mass. Yeah.
Our boundaries so hard for us Catholics.
I follow all the sharing about what Sam so much is collaboration, because for me that is the most important. Because if the people who is just coming new in the parish and sees the collaborations, the atmosphere of the parish, I will be happy and I will feel at home. Because if you can see collaboration, if there is affirmation of one another, respect of one's other, whether it's small or big, there's an open communication. And I think all this that there is the support, that you can see the support and respect, which is very important in any occasion, in any place. So if there is a collaboration, a collaborative, I could say collaborative atmosphere, it is really an invitation for everyone.
And maybe the word that we use is not collaborative, maybe it's hopeful. Right? When we collaborate, we're hopeful that we're going to get the help that we need, and we're going to get the support that we need.
Thank you. I was just looking at number 3, and what strikes me is working in the parish office, we get a lot of homeless that come, and we hand out bags of groceries. And we're not a food bank or anything, but something that's come through both talks, the first one and yours, is how important names are, right? And so when we have that homeless person come to the door, dear spiritual father, rest his soul, always said to make sure to ask their name, to make that community, to communicate, connect with them, and you see their dignity. So it's just simple opening the door in the morning, but that really does. Names are so important, and so that just in the number 3, I'm like, just asking their name. You see them, so and that's their dignity.
All right, well, thank you so much, everybody, for sharing. We have 5 more minutes, so we do have another question. Our parishes are a small part of God's creation that we have been called to till and keep. Now, we know what till and keep mean. All right, kind of remind you of that. How can you work together to cultivate relationships and care for the poor who seek your parish and ministries as a sign of hope? All right, so not just collaborative, harmonious environment within a working relationship, but also how that coming out into the community, right? How that reflecting your relationships, and especially caring for the poor. So we do have 5 minutes to get your thoughts together, share a little bit,